Hello everyone, and this will be the last animation video for today. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to take the character, which we split up into multiple parts, as you can see over here, and we're going to basically put it together into a different file, and we're going to rig it so that we're able to, well, basically use it for potential animations, and if anything else, a starting point for other parts to begin. So to get started with this, this is what we're going to need to do. We're going to need to make ourselves a new scene because the only issue we're having now is we've been using HTML5 because it has been the standard that a lot of people are going at. But for what we need for the next lesson, we need Actionscript 3.0. Now, I showed a little bit about this previously. I'm going to show this again on how to get this started. You're going to go to File, you're going to go to New. And again, just make sure that the specifications are what we had before, 1280 by 720, that the frame rate is 24. Again, the platform type, this is where it gets different, is we're going to go to Actionscript 3.0, and we're going to hit Create. Cool, so we're ready to get over here, and I'm just going to put this at 75% because this will help us a little bit as we go. Okay, so what we'll do next is we're going to go to the previous scene. And by the way, we can have both these up at the same time. And we basically need to take all the different parts from our library. And we need to take all of these into the other scene. So we're going to do this library to library. Easy enough to do. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to right click. You're going to go to copy. And then in the new scene that we have over here, you're going to right click and paste. By the way, a little bit of a heads up, something that I did not do before. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you save often. I accidentally didn't save one of my parts, and I had to do a couple parts over again. But the good news is it ended up coming out for the better, so it all worked out. So I'm just going to name this Animation Ready. Although for the naming convention, I'll give everyone a reminder on what the naming convention should be. But yeah, so I'm just going to put that as a temporary name. Okay, now I need, for the next part, I basically need to set this up so that it could be used for animation later. So I'm going to need one layer for every part. This is where it's going to take a lot of technical know-how to basically make this work for us. So you're going to need a lot of layers for this, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Okay, so there we are. Now what you want to start off with for the animation is we basically want to get the area that's going to be the furthest away from the camera first and basically being covered from the body. Easiest way to approach this is basically, let's see what we have here, is basically try and put everything on appropriate layers. So probably the first thing we're going to want to put here is going to be the farther away arm. So let's see, I have the upper arm over here, and yep, that's it. And I'm going to put that in first. Now, I need to make sure that this is higher in the library. And it wouldn't be a bad idea for me to name this upper arm far, as if it's the farthest away arm. And since it's going to go on the other side, because again, if you take a look at the main body here, I'm just going to bring that up for a second. There we are. It's facing this way, so this one is actually kind of backwards, but that's okay. You can go to Modify and go to Transform and Horizontal. So pretty much I'm basically repurposing this arm so that it can be put in over here. So that's my upper arm far. The next area is lower arm far. And yep, here it is. Once again, I'm going to go to Modify, Transform, Flip Horizontally. Now, if you've already done something like this, then don't worry too much about this for now. I'm going to just put this on a higher layer. Yep, there we go. And again, you need to make sure that whatever you put down, I'm going to zoom in a little bit because this is getting a little bit clunky. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Good. But yeah, we just basically want to make sure that the area that has the dark line over here, that that's at the bottom, that this area is at the top. It's going to help us for animation later. Okay, and then the one that's going to be on top of both of these is going to be the hand. Let's see here. Yep, the inner hand. And there we are. Looks like it might be a little on the big side, so I might eventually shrink this down a bit. And by the way, if you do need to shrink elements down to basically make sure that they work okay, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, there we are. And this is going to be hand far. So I've got my first 3 layers here, so fantastic. Now I need to do the same thing for my body too, in terms of the legs. So let's see here. Gonna take the upper leg first. I'm just gonna make my 3 layers. Here we get like this. So the one that's gonna be at the lowest area is gonna be this one. So I'm gonna put this as upper leg far. Again, labeling all these is going to make your life a lot easier, so it is worth the time. Now, I might need to adjust the canvas a little bit to basically make this a little bit more friendly for what we're going to be doing here. That shouldn't be a problem, though. So once again, go into Modify, Transform, Flip Horizontal. Yep, there we go. I'm just trying to get all these parts done first. Okay, so the lower leg. Now this one, fortunately, I don't have to actually change. I could actually just keep this like so. I might have to rotate this just a smidge, though. Oop, but make sure that this is on a different layer, so I'm just going to cut this out of here, paste it on the appropriate layer. And again, if it ever kind of boggles down a little bit, try to zoom in a little bit if you can. It usually fixes it right up. There we are. And this is going to be called lower leg far. And this is going to be foot far for lower foot. Wouldn't be a bad idea to get out of the zoom tool as well. Let's see there. Cool. Well, that looks like it's pretty much done, at least for this part. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a lot of areas that need to be adjusted and changed, so do keep that in mind. Okay, so next part is, now that we got the farther away areas, now we need to get the body in here. So I'm going to make 2 layers specifically for the body. I'm going to put for me, I'm going to put the upper body first. There we are. And then I'm going to put the lower body afterwards. So that's going to be above a layer like so. I'm going to also put a little part in here that says main controller. The reason why I'm putting this down in here is because if I want to move the whole body, this is what I'm going to be moving this with. So let's see, lower body's over here, put this in. And then I can move the foot into place. There we are. But this, again, is one of the reasons why placement is so important, because you need to make sure that you put the right spot for the right area. But yeah, those parts are good, it looks like. so I can add in the next couple parts. Now, it would be to your best interest to put in the leg and then the arm, because what you want to do is, if for whatever reason, we want the arm to swing around. Although I don't think that in most cases your arm is going to get all the way down to your leg, you still want to make sure that the arm has priority. So again, the arm is the furthest thing that we have over here. That's why we put that first, then followed by the leg. In fact, if I was to go over here, put this behind, you'll notice that the layer area is appropriate. And we want to do the same basic principle with the legs like this. So again, upper leg, we're bringing this in. Oop, of course, it helps if you, first of all, make a new layer for what you need. So I'm creating 3 new layers, the bottom of which is going to be the upper leg, as you can see. Then the lower leg for the next layer. Oop, almost forgot. Upper leg close. The next one is going to be lower leg close. Then foot close. Now I am going to need to rotate this just a smidge. And again, if it's a little bit wonky, just take a moment to zoom in and fix it like so. Then I'm putting in, gonna cut this up and then put this in the right spot. Order is important, as I said before. There's my foot. Cool. And then finally, the arm. At least for the body parts. So once again, the upper arm is first, and this is going to be the close one. Then the lower arm close. And then the hand close. And by the way, the designation is basically what's closer to you at this time. So let's see, upper arms first. So that's just going to basically go around here. And again, if you set up your elements the way that they're supposed to be done, they should actually fit in pretty nicely. Let's see, lower arm. So I don't need to adjust that too much. Yep, perfect. And the outer hand. Perfect. Okay. Of course, it always helps if you put everything in the right spot. So edit. Just realized I didn't put that in the right layer, but that's easy enough to fix. By the way, edit, paste in place is your friend. If you ever get into a situation where you put things in the wrong order. Edit, cut, lower arm, edit, paste in place. Everything's looking just fine. And since this might take a while to do again, I'm going to save what I have. Joy. And now it's just a matter of getting the head. So once again, you want to make sure that you get the head in its proper spot. Yep, there we are. And as I said before, yeah, definitely need to zoom in on this one. As I said before, she doesn't necessarily need to have all the parts on her separate. Like, for example, I can keep the nose in here without too much of a problem. That's perfectly fine. And I could always put in the eyes and other parts afterwards. So let's see what we'll do first. Well, the mouth should be relatively simple. Oop, definitely need to make sure I have the head on here. Cool. And again, I have one specifically for every part. So I got one for the smile. I got one for each eye. Let's see. Actually, strike that. We can nope. Actually, I'm going to be extra cautious on this. Now, in this case, I'm going to put the eye far, and then eye close. And I'll start there for now. Let's see. So I got that. Still need my eye. Oh, nope. I need my smile first. There we are. And again, it's just good to be able to make sure that you just put this in the appropriate section. Yeah, I'm digging that. Okay, so next I would get the eye in here. And let's see. Oop. Sorry about that alarm. Paste in place. And since this is the far away one, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to flip this around. Now, just a heads up, if you did actually make limbs specifically where they were placed, that's perfectly fine. That means you don't have to go through the steps I'm doing. But I'm doing these because I only made one eye and certain other limbs. So that's why I have to do the whole flipping thing. And in some cases, I might actually have to shrink this down a little bit. But I'll shrink this down when I get the other elements. So that's my far eye. And actually, I might as well get the pupil and all the other stuff in ready. So instead of the eye close, I'm going to make a new layer for the pupil. Far. And the eyebrow. Oop, don't forget to say far on this one. Again, I'm being a little bit cautious in this, but again, usually it works out pretty nicely to be a little cautious. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And the original artist made these kind of anime-ish, and that is awesome. Because she ends up being inspired by that story, or that style. Big thing I'm going to want to do with all of these, though, is because it is a little further away, I am going to take a moment to shrink these just a smidge. Yeah, that should work out just fine. And we'll see how it looks when I bring the other eye in here. So, okay. Again, I kind of made a mistake here. I put these in the wrong layer, but then again, this is not difficult to fix. Let's see. Oop, that was actually the right one. This is the one that need to be fixed. So edit, paste in place. Fantastic. Okay, so let's bring in the other eye, the one that's closer to us. Okay, it's looking pretty, let's see. I think this needs to just go up a little. Yeah, there we go. And let's see. Cool. So I'm adding the two other layers, the one for the pupil close. Now this one I don't have to shrink down, so that's at least a good thing. Now, the reason why I haven't flipped over the pupil in this case is because, again, if the shine is coming from this direction, I want to make sure that it stays consistent. Now, it might turn out that it might be a good idea for me to get rid of the shine, but we'll see how things go. And this one is going to be brow close. And that one's already here. Okay. So I just need the eyebrow in this case. Yeah, I think I actually had to flip this one around, so modify, transform, flip horizontally, and yeah, just basically just take a moment to fix that up a little bit. There we are. So again, I'm just trying to get a relatively neutral look for her. I think I could just bring this back a little. There we go. Now I'm relatively happy. There's still more stuff that can be done, but at least for what we're doing now, she has the basic elements that are needed for the next part. So definitely going to save this up, and I would strongly recommend you do too. Okay, so it's a lot of layers here, but again, this is again a little bit more of a tricky way to animate, but again, for some elements, and of course with some tricks I'm going to show, the process can be made easier. Biggest thing that's going to help us at this point, however, is we need to make sure that the hierarchy, or basically how all the parts are set up at this time. So some things that are going to be helpful for us is making sure that all the different spots are rotating in the right areas. Now you can do this by going to the transform tool and just take the pivot point and put it around where the rotation should be. You might want to just give it a quick little test to see if it works okay. And again, as long as just think about how much you can naturally rotate an area. After all, going backwards, not too difficult, but rotating too much forwards, obviously that might have a little bit of a repercussion if you go too far with that. So that actually works out pretty nice. Same thing here, just give it a quick little test. Not too shabby. Same thing here, basically just going to bring this to where the knee is going to rotate. Yeah, you're definitely not going to go this way, so it's all going to be going back like this. So you might even go as far as putting the rotation a little bit closer. There we are. And that should be fine. Same thing here. Basically just bring the pivot points where it can rotate best. And again, if there's anything that looks a little bit off, you still have a chance to fix it up a little bit. Not too bad. Okay, same thing here. Just basically putting this up a little bit. Cool. Same thing here. There might be a situation where you still might need to add a couple elements to these parts, and that's perfectly fine. This one's going to rotate a little bit like so. This area is going to rotate potentially where the belt is going to be. In fact, if I go forward and back over here, that might be a thing. But again, don't go too crazy with it, as your person can only rotate so far. Same thing for the elbows. Yeah, this one's going to go way in the back like this, most likely going behind the body, and that's perfectly fine. Now again, if you see that you have an empty spot or two that's a little bit off or could be fixed a little bit, you still have time to fix that up. Most likely you're going to. In fact, I can already see a couple parts that I think that probably could be improved on mine as well, which I'm going to do. That looks nice. Yeah, not too shabby. Okay, and then the head. I don't need to worry too much about the... Let's see here. Yeah, I don't need to worry too much about the eyes or the smile or even the eyebrows rotations, but I definitely need to worry about the head. Yeah, there we go. So that's looking nice. Okay, so that part's done. Okay, and again, I'm going to save this up because I don't want to have to do that all over again. Not that that one's too bad anyways. Okay, so this is where it gets tricky. We need to basically identify, once again, where the parents are and where the children are. In other words, what needs to be controlled by what. Now, I usually work with the legs first to at least identify this. So this thigh is going to basically control this leg, and this part of the leg is going to control that foot. So I basically have to keep track of all three of those areas. So this is where the parent comes in yet again. You click this Show Parenting. We basically have this part come up. I'm going to bring this back a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And yeah. So this is the upper leg. So the lower leg, this one over here, is going to be connected to that. So let's see. I have my lower leg close, so it's the upper leg close that I need to find. Or no, yeah, in this case it's the upper leg close. So now, as I said before, when I move one, the both of them move. And that's actually pretty cool. Going to do the same thing with this one. Sorry, the foot, because the foot is going to be controlled by the lower leg close. So you just click over here. You have all the different parts. So the lower leg close is here. And you can basically see how the guide is basically put into this. So again, if I go over here, I rotate this leg, they both go back. I rotate this part of the leg, they both go back this way. I rotate this foot, and it's rotating like so. So I still need to, again, fix a couple things in terms of the construction, but overall I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. And I'm going to do the same thing with these other parts. This time I'm going to start for the lower part and work my way up. So the foot far is supposed to be connected to the lower leg. So in other words, this is going to be connected to this. So lower leg far is found right there. Perfect. So now if I rotate this, that goes with it. Perfect. So here's the upper leg far. So I need to basically connect this to this. And let's see, lower leg upper, oop. There we are. So this is again how it should look if everything's put in the appropriate spot. So, once again, I rotate the leg, rotate the other leg, and I can rotate the foot. Relatively simple. But again, the first time you doing this, not going to lie, this is probably going to be pretty confusing. I will probably, and when I say probably, I mean I'm going to, put a copy of this file that I'm working with right now in the Blackboard area. So if you need a copy of this, you'll be able to find it pretty easy. So I'm going to do the same thing with the hands and the arms. Usually I like to do the limbs first before I get to the main body. So let's see. So this hand is going to be connected to this. This arm is going to be connected to here, and so on. So basically identify what needs to be connected first. That usually makes the process a lot easier. So here's the hand, and it's far away. So the lower arm is where we want to put this. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Then this arm is going to be connected to the upper arm. So hitting the drop down over here, lower arm far. Sorry, upper arm far. That's where we want to put this. And yeah, there we go. So hand to lower arm to upper arm. So if I rotate this back, it's fine. I rotate this over, that's fine. I rotate the hand, that's fine. You can do the same thing for the arms. Again, identify what you need to do first. It makes the process way easier. So this to this and this to this. So here's the hand, hitting the drop down. And again, it's going to be the lower arm close. Again, give it a test to make sure it works. and then the lower arm to the upper arm. So once again, selecting this. This is the lower arm, hitting the drop down. So lower arm close. Yep, here we are. And yeah, just give it a quick look. Of course, it helps if you actually move the pivot point in the appropriate spot. Yep, there we are. So I might still have to adjust that a little bit. Okay, so now is the main part that we basically need to attach our limbs to our bodies. So the best way to approach this is logically think where you want the arms and legs to be attached to. So definitely would want the legs to be attached to the lower body directly. So here's the lower body, and just identify where the legs are. So, and it'd be the upper leg, by the way. So here's the upper leg. You hit the drop down, and it will be from the lower body. Let's see if I can find that. This is one of the reasons why putting main controller here was so helpful. Very cool. And there's the upper leg close, hitting the drop down, main body controller. Awesome. So now, if I was to move this around, the legs go with it. Same thing with the arms. I want to put this to the actual upper body. So again, it's good to identify where they are first. Easy enough to find. So, yep, you hit the drop down and over here for the hierarchy area. Put both of these to the upper body. Make sure I have the right one here. There it is. If everything works the way it's supposed to, hey, take a look at that. The arms are going with it. Then the final step, at least with this part, is you take the upper body that we have over here and put that to the lower. So hitting the drop down over here, going to the lower body main controller. And this is why I call it the main controller, and I'd recommend that everyone here do the same. Because now, at least body-wise, I can select this, and it all goes with it. That's going to be a huge help later on. Just making sure it's all still connected. Yep, it is. And then you basically take the head, which is this area over here, and connect that to your upper body. So hitting the drop down over here, and going to the upper body. Yep, there we are. And now all this goes with it. Not too shabby. So in most cases, up till about to the head, you'll notice that most elements usually only get connected to one spot, with, of course, the body areas being the exception. The head is going to be a massive exception as well, because we would want to put all these different parts on the actual head that we have over here. Again, this is one of the reasons why organization makes this process way easier. Because now I just know that I need to put my brows to the head. Yep, easy enough to find. So basically each of those facial elements, they're all going to go to the head. So if you remember where they are, this part's relatively simple. Again, the biggest thing to remember is logically, what do you want to control? Or what do you want to control this? So now that that's done, if I was to rotate this around, all those different parts go with it. Nice thing about this too, by the way, later on, if I wanted to, I potentially could have the eyes move back and forth. Just got to be a little careful how far you go and such. And I could even have the eyebrows move and rotate a little bit as well. Ideally, you'd probably want it to be different shapes for all this, but at least this could potentially work for yourself. So yeah, basically my character is set for animation. To be honest, that's as far as I really want us to go. And as I said before, I do want to make this available for people to use. It is a little bit tricky when you first get into this. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to lowball it first with that first demonstration. And once you feel that you're confident enough with that, you should be able to actually use this for multiple purposes. Now, there's more complicated elements that we're going to get into later on, but once we get done with this, basically setting up our character, we'll do some simple little animations, and you might find they could be helpful for a final project or other projects in general. But that's basically where I want us to stop for today, so don't worry about animating this. Just try to get everything connected the best that you can. Again, give each body part a little bit of a test. Make sure it's rotating the way it's supposed to. So that looks pretty fine. This looks like it's pretty good. Still could fix this up a little bit. Yeah, I'm not too happy with that. I think I'm going to definitely want to fix this. Oh, actually that looks a little bit better. But anyways, I'm going to leave this on Blackboard, so hopefully you'll find it useful. So I'm just going to save this right now. That's pretty much as far as I'd like us to go. So hopefully you found this video useful, and we'll go into some more animation tips next week. So again, this is the Professor, and we'll talk to you guys on the next one.